You'd rather be doing something else. You're not there. You're trying to get elsewhere. Your relationship to the present moment is one of almost hostility. In a simple activity, you carry a lot of time. Past, because you're complaining you've been doing it for so often, for so long. And future, because you carry projection, will I have to do this for the rest of my life? And so that interferes with what could be a moment of great fullness and depth, because you're carrying time into this. And you're carrying a self into it, a complaining self, me, that separates itself from the now, is not one with it. So the meaning then of chopping wood and carrying water is not to carry past or future into this moment. And even if you've chopped wood and carried water for 25 years, it's never happened before. If you don't carry the memory of 25 years of chopping wood into this moment is totally fresh and new. And it's alive. And there's a depth to it that you haven't seen before, of aliveness in the ordinariness. There's another Zen saying, which this little saying is to explain the meaning of Zen again, and it's very short. What is Zen? We ask the master. Doing one thing at a time. That can't be all, yeah? But there's great depth and power if you're able to do one thing, truly one thing at a time. First of all, it implies there's no past and future in the action. It also implies that the action is not a means to an end. In the normal state of consciousness, you chop wood in order to light the fire with the wood. So in ordinary consciousness, mentally, you're already on the desired outcome. The present moment of chopping wood is your stepping stone that enables you to get where you want to get, which is light the fire to cook the food. And of course, once you have lit the fire, you're cooking the food, you're not there either, because you're already eating it mentally. You're already waiting for the moment when you can finally eat it. And so on. You're never there, always the next step ahead. Always the moment is reduced in value, reduced in aliveness, to a means to an end. And the end is always a concept in the head. Your whole life becomes reduced through becoming imprisoned in a conceptualized reality. Because that's all that future is, a mental concept, a word, a thought. Future has no reality, nobody has ever seen it, touched it, smelt it. Nobody has ever been there. And nobody can ever be there. It's only when it comes, it's always the now. So, in the service of a mental concept called future, you reduce what could be the fullness of life to a mere stepping stone. You reduce its value, its aliveness to that, because you're interested in the next moment. So you're chopping wood and carrying water, but really you're not there doing it. You would rather get this out of the way in order to arrive at the next moment. That's the normal way to live. And that is not doing one thing at a time, because you're already mentally elsewhere, the other thing. Or a sequence of things that you will have to do later, even worse. You're doing one thing, and in your mind you already have not only where you want to get with this one thing, because that will have to lead to that and that and that, and you have piled up in your mind the things that you have to do today, and each one clamoring for importance. Your attention is absorbed by that, and the minimum of it flows into what you do, and that's called stress. Stress means one thing pulls this way, the other pulls. You can have stress in metal. When there's a pull, one pull this way and the other pulls that way. And that happens inside people continuously. The future pulls you away from, and it hurts. It hurts the body. If the body could speak, you would say, "What the hell are you doing? What are you doing to me? Are you insane?" And sometimes the last resort of the body says, "I have to make this guy ill because he will never stop." And finally, your only chance of recovery is to become ill. And so, chopping wood, carrying water points to the possibility of neither bringing past and future into this present moment, but also not making whatever you're doing right now into a means to an end, where the end result that you want to achieve becomes more important than what you're doing now. And realize there is no future, there's always only the now. And to reduce that to a means to an end is insane, ultimately. Is already a form of insanity. And when millions of people live like that, what kind of a civilization do they create? Then the whole civilization is based on that dysfunction. So millions of people are running around, hyperactive. Stress increases every year in society. Everybody talks about it. They even feel guilty if they're not stressed. Maybe I'm not doing enough. Stress increases every year, and everybody's running around. There's never enough time. Not enough time to do it all. A piling up of future things. And the children are conditioned at an early age to live in the same mad way as their parents. Come on, let's get on with it. And if you stop anybody and ask them what's the whole purpose of your running around like mad, well, nobody really knows. Or they would tell you, well, explain the situation. Where are they running to? Internally or externally running? Well, I have to just achieve this. There's a deadline. I've got deadlines to meet. Can't even talk to you. Don't stop me now. There's this norm. The world is full of deadlines these days. I sometimes have to write little things here and there, and there's always, but you only have 2 days. You have to do it in 2 days. Often I don't. Either they wait or it doesn't get done. Kim is nodding her head. I'm not allowing this world to drive me insane, because the world will do it, because the world is the externalized human mind. So here can we use this situation, this weekend, for our practice of discovering the depth that is concealed in the ordinary moment, seemingly ordinary moment. In whatever we do, see if we can bring so much attention to it, and there's no strain in it, just so that we don't reduce it to a means to an end, whatever we do. And that's a reversal of ordinary consciousness. And that begins, for example, with when you walk from here to another building, or when you go for a walk in nature. You walk from here to your room, or you walk from here to the door, or even in your room, you walk to the door, into the bathroom, and so on. There's a step. Walking implies a sequence of steps. And usually when people walk, even in that little, seemingly simple activity, mentally they're where they want to get. So there's already the projection. So you're being pulled away by future. And you're always running after the next thing where the mind has projected itself. And there's another way to simply be at the step you're taking at this moment. Now, at first, it's a strange way to become aware of yourself walking. You don't have to call it a meditation, although there is such a thing as walking meditation. They do it even more slowly. You can do that, but just ordinary walking, it may well be, yes, that you walk more slowly than you would normally do, a bit more, because normally you're, okay. So you just simply awareness in each step. And it's always one. You can only take one step at a time, ever. So even to say each step is not right, because there is not each step, there's only the one you're taking at this moment, ever, in life. And to become aware of that one step, that something happens then, and we could call that quality. And that's very hard to define. That word came to me many, many years ago. I saw a Buddhist monk who lived in presence, and he was walking up and down, and it's like, oh, I can see there's so much quality in his walking. Ordinary consciousness is concerned with quantity. And the entire civilization is concerned with quantity. More. Need more. Quality is rare. Because the next moment is what matters. You have got conveyor belts churning out things. And quality implies full attention. And then there's also peace that comes with each step. Yes, as you practice walking in that way, you may find yourself walking a little bit more slowly than you would normally do. Slow. And then you realize it does not really depend on speed. Once you are able to bring presence into the one step you're taking at this moment, the speed doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when the step It's always one step. And if you have to run, which may occasionally happen, you have to catch a train and you're late and you have to run, then you feel the enormous energy of that moment as a joyful movement without the pull of, I need to catch that train. No, I'm just running. It's beautiful and there's high energy. Or you can, well, let's stay with walking for a while before you do something else. You will be amazed how peaceful it is to be aware of the step that you take at this moment. And then you walk also in nature out there. And then you learn to have some awareness there and some awareness in other sense perceptions. The walking can keep you present with each step. And you look around. And there you have another teacher this weekend, which is called nature. Because nature is present in now, one with life. Everything in nature is one with life. And so you bring awareness to nature as you walk around. Now, nature that surrounds us here is of a particular kind. Some forms of nature are overwhelming, huge, gigantic mountains, raging streams, or the seashore with gigantic waves and a storm coming in. And sometimes nature can be so overpowering and overwhelming that it sweeps away your thinking. You can't think anymore. It's so gigantic that it sweeps away your thoughts. And it forces you somewhere, especially if there's some danger involved. You're at a precipice and it's stormy and there are gigantic mountains there and clouds coming this way, and your mind stops. Wow. And there's an enormous sense of aliveness suddenly. So occasionally it can happen that nature forces you into presence. But here nature is of a different kind. The other kind of nature that I just described is almost like taking LSD, which I tried once, because there the sense perceptions become amplified. It's as if everything, sounds, visual sense, touch, smell, as if they were all shouting at you, overwhelming. You get bombarded by heightened sense perception, so much that for some people it's their first experience of not thinking, because you're so bombarded with sense perceptions you can't think anymore. It can be an opening. You're not growing in consciousness, but it can be a glimpse of something, how alive the world can be. And so people go and they look at a teapot and say, wow. Or any ordinary object. Even a bare wall it's almost pulsating with life. And the mind stops. And you feel, I lived in some kind of prison all my life, and so the world is alive. And then gradually it wears down. What was all that? For some people that becomes an incentive for some people that has been the beginning of their quest. There is more than my mind. There's greater depth to reality than my mind. And so you have nature that can sometimes stop your mind because it's so overwhelming. But here this is not the case. And here this brings us back to chopping wood and carrying water. Nature here is beautiful but relatively ordinary. It's the trees of medium height. It's not like a forest in Canada where you go, oh my God. When you reach the seashore, it's not the open ocean, so the waves are not that huge, they're just little waves. So it's not a place where there are extremes. Maybe the Buddha would have liked it here. And this is an opportunity for bringing presence to the ordinariness, beauty, but also the seeming ordinariness of nature. And then look for what you would normally have overlooked. What the wind does to the blades of grass when you look. What it does to the leaves, it plays with the branches and the leaves. They make a slight sound. Now to notice that, you need alertness. To notice a gigantic chunk of ice falling from a glacier in the Swiss Alps, you don't need very much presence. There's an explosive sound and it comes tumbling towards you. But for that subtleness, greater alertness is required. Otherwise you'll miss it. And so there's such alertness that you're not interpreting what you see. You're not saying the wind is playing with the grass. No, it's just what is. And there's a depth and a beauty there, and a stillness in it that you can't explain, nor do you need to. And then you look at a patch of ground that's right in front of you, grass, and perhaps 2 or 3 kinds of flowers. Some are yellow, some are white, some are red. That take a few hours before they open completely after sunrise, because at night they go. When the sun comes, it takes 2 or 3 hours before they're completely open. And you watch that. Also some movement there. And you discover things that you haven't seen before, that there's enormous life, even in 1 square meter. And you bring awareness, presence to that. And then you walk, and you see a grove of trees, whatever it is, and you perceive the totality of that landscape as a total field in which intense aliveness is happening. Bringing that to nature, then what nature is teaching you is the state of no mind, no thought. Although nature is pre-mind, it hasn't arrived at mind. You are post-mind, but you meet in the state of no mind. It has similarities. Nature is one with itself and with the totality. Every animal is one with itself. It doesn't separate itself out of the totality. It says, me. Maybe there may be a few exceptional mad dogs that lived for too long with humans and go to are taken to the hairdresser, and when they walk around you can see there's the beginnings of an ego there. And ego, of course, means having a self-image, me, like a phantom self walking next to it's me. And then you're aware of others, how they react to me. And that becomes incorporated into me. I want others to think well of me, to admire me, to feel that I'm better than they are, if possible. With a continuous fear that I may be less than they. But nature, when it's left alone, is free of that. And even most pets are still free of it miraculously, or they've lived with humans for so long, miraculously, they are still sane. And they are what keeps many humans sane. If they didn't have their pet, it's their only access to being. Because anything else, their mind is in charge. They meet other humans, their mind is in charge. For the rest of their life, they're burdened by themselves. And for some humans, their only area of freedom is when the pet comes and they go, they're not playing a game with their pets, they're just themselves. Because they know that the pet accepts them, the dog does not criticize you, the dog accepts you, accepts the most insane master. I heard a little saying, God, please make me into the person my dog thinks I am.